Data annotations. I've mentioned them before and I'll mention them again because there's something very powerful and they'll make your life a lot easier. In the previous lecture, we used it to specify with the square brackets required to specify that a particular input had to have a value, otherwise the form that submitted the values to that model would not be allowed to be submitted. In turn, it would display an error message on our form. Furthermore, we used the data annotation to change the display name of an attribute. And some additional things we can do with the data annotations are specify the max length of a particular attribute, specify an error message if the attribute on which the data annotation places constraints does not meet those constraints, fall within those constraints. We can compare it to another field and make sure that it has the same value, and if it does not, throw an error message. Specify the format of the data within the string or variable. Specify error messages and a minimum and maximum length, or simply just a minimum. You can do one, both, or one or the other. Specify a date range, as shown on the screen in front of us. I'll highlight it in a second. So here we specify a date range for that attribute. And we could even specify custom valid attributes by if the out-of-the-box functionality for the data annotations just isn't enough, we can write our own logic and then create a custom attribute or custom validation. And more. It's not just limited to that. If you want to see what else data annotations can do, you should look at the MSDN documentation, model validation ASP.NET Core MVC. We go to that and it tells you, it'll go into detail about other attributes that can be used. Okay, so that is my little blurb on data annotations. I'll post the link to getting more information or reading up on it. But in the next lecture, to meet the criteria, or mystery criteria that I'll reveal in our next lecture, unless you remember it from the slide, we will be making a custom attribute, a data annotation. Okay.